Morning guys, long time no speak. Basically last 2 months been a bit of a nightmare, truth be told. I was ill in March for 2.5 weeks, 2 separate occasions, nothing serious, just couldn't work. Basically I had gout with my foot, and also I had man flu for about 9 days, and so I didn't get to do any videos regarding doing a licensing for the second year. All obviously went through, no problems there. And then to make matters worse, that was in March, and then earlier this month my GPU and my PC went kaput, and so I haven't been able to do any videos until I got my new GPU. And because of the resolutions I run on my monitor, I can't use cheap GPUs. I predominantly have to go up to about 600 quid for a GPU. It's not, I could go for one that was about 350, 400 pound, but the only trouble is that there's no future proofing, and I play games on it a lot. Anyway, the other problem of course is that I was water cooling that particular PC, and I've had to go back to air because I just can't afford a 700 pound graphics card and all the water cooling. So I had to buy a new air cooler for the CPU as well. So basically I've had a lot of costings going on. Anyway, all back to together again, all working fine. And so on to today's video. Now I'm just on my way up to Bishop Stortford, Glen Hopkins, to actually have the car looked at. This is just a preliminary look at the issues I've got with Beverly. They're also going to do the Graunching wing mirrors, which is long overdue, which was reported back in, I believe, November last year. I think the first time was in last summer, but anyway, it's not a major issue. It's just the noise when they go in on the power fold. So they're going to be doing those hopefully today, but the main reason it's also going in today is regarding the steering. Now you may recall on one of my videos late last year when I said about the steering become very light. It has subsequently become ultra light. It's hypersensitive. If you accelerate in this car very harshly, or hardly I should say, you get masses of torque steer. It basically wants to pull into every camber dip and little tiny crevasse in the side of the road. There's a buzzing on full lock. If you go lock to lock, or when you're at stationary, when you're not doing any speed, you can hear a knock left to right. Oh look, there's a Leaf there. I'll give him a flash. I think I know that guy's actually stopped me. It's a red one. And yeah, so there's no feel. It feels very, very nervous at any kind of speed. At low speed, you can basically spin the steering wheel with your finger. There's no resistance at all and no feel. There's also a problem which I mentioned ages ago, which they won't be able to test today because it's not cold. I've been driving it this morning, working with it. When you first start off in the morning, there's like this clicking noise. I will get, like I said before, a mic down on that and record it on my phone so you can actually hear it, and then I'll overlay that into a video. I don't know where I'm going to be able to mount. I'll probably have to use something like duct tape. I think it sounds like the reduction gear. It could be a drive shaft, don't know. So there's that as well, which they probably won't be able to see today. Well, obviously you can have a look. And the other issue is when you are reversing in the vehicle and then going forward, there's a clicking noise. It sounds like a brake pad in a caliper moving. It could potentially be something with the e-pedal, I don't know. And the other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, and I'd love, I'm probably going to get in touch with Rob. Rob, if you're watching this, I'm going to text you in the next week or so. If you're up near where we are, I'm going to do a side-by-side, say 30 mile an hour down to 0, without using obviously the brakes at all, and just using the regen, because I'm sure my vehicle has got less regen. In fact, I'm actually using the brakes pretty much for the first time ever since I've had her. Not all the time. If you foreplan enough, it will still come to a stop, but it just seems like, whereas before it was really heavy and you could really feel the force of the effectively like the B mode really pulling the car back. It seems to roll a lot more now. It's not like being in D mode, it's not like that, but it just doesn't feel as strong. Maybe the magnets aren't as strong, don't know. I mean, I'm just coming up on 36,000 miles and the car's going to be serviced again, by the way, in the next week or so. And that's about it. So what I do now, I'll drop the car off. They're going to have the car all day, and then I'll do an add-on to this video on the way home and see what the findings were. I'll speak to you guys sometime today. Bye for now. Afternoon, guys. Hope you're having a good Friday afternoon. As you can see, traffic's quite bad where I am. Hopefully it's not too bad going back home from the dealership. Okay, so going through the list of faults, I'll start with the steering first. They say it's normal. It's not, and if anyone's got a Leaf who wants to test drive my one, who lives up in the Hertfordshire / Essex area and wants to see back to back, you can test your one against my one. I've already test drove one in the dealership. I had a feel of it back to back and it's completely different, and they didn't have one there, sadly. Strange, they normally have 2 or 3 there, but they didn't. And I've just noticed parking sensors come up, which was another fault I forgot to mention. I wrote down on the list. They said it was leaves in the radar. You just heard it, it's still coming up. So they haven't sorted that out. I knew it weren't leaves because it's in the front and there's nothing on the front. The sensors, it shows in the handbook where they are. Anyway, so the sensors are still exactly the same, so I'd have to report that. I don't know if I mentioned that this morning because I wrote it down as I was coming into the dealership on my list. Yeah, so the steering, they're going to recheck next time when it goes back in. The clicking noise is the drive shafts needs re-greasing. That's what's causing that. Apparently there's a bulletin for it. In other words, it's not a recall, but it's something that Nissan is actually aware of. So they've obviously had other Leafs that have actually had problem. Probably very similar to the retorquing. If you remember that creaking some of us actually had earlier last year, which was the hub nut. So the grease is on order. When I've got it in, they're going to get me back in and they'll actually take me out with another Leaf so I can show them the steering. I mean, basically this is me steering it with my little finger, like literally. It was never that light, and if you look on yours, you shouldn't be able to do that. When I first had it, as you'll hear me mention many times, best feature on this car apart from the e-pedal was the steering, and now turning that with your little finger with no real effort, it's lost all its feel and everything. Anyway, so we got steering's going to be looked at, the clicking noise already sorted, and the heat pump issue I had with the buzzing in the winter is basically they've replaced some seals on the system. Don't know if it's going to be a common fault or if your Leaf's going to actually have this as it reaches a higher mileage. Who knows? We'll have to see. And they regas the system because obviously they had to replace the seal, so I assume when I took it apart they've obviously lost all of the fluid. What I didn't understand is that whilst the heat pump was making a buzzing noise, as far as heat was concerned, apart from 2 occasions when the time didn't come on in the morning, and I remember about a week or so ago, I don't know if I mentioned this morning, sorry guys, I'm really tired. When I started off in one of the mornings, the heating didn't come on for quite a while, even though it was up on 30 degrees. I don't know if that might have been a fault potentially with the system. I don't know. Anyway, it's been regassed, but the air conditioning, as I say, was actually working fine, and the heating's been working subsequently fine. So I don't see how a regas. I mean, the seals might have been an issue for something. Maybe it's pressure related. Don't know. But there was definitely gas in the system because I've been using the air conditioning lately. I mean, when we had the heat spell last weekend, I was using the car then, and it was working fine. Perfectly fine, very efficient as usual, as I've mentioned a few times regarding the air conditioning on this car. Anyway, so that's where we are at the moment with all of the faults. Actually, I've just remembered, power fold mirrors, no more noise. So they've obviously done the power fold mirrors as well. It's been such a long time, I actually forgot about it. Was back in, like I say, October, November last year. It's like 5-6 months. Completely forgot about them. As I say, it's only those kind of things I'm not fussed about. It's more to do with driving dynamics and usability of the vehicle, in terms of reliability. Things like little windows like creaking, as I've mentioned before, they're an annoyance. They're not going to stop me working. The heat pump would, because obviously I can't give heat or cooling for me and the passengers. So yeah, I will keep you posted when they get back in touch with the re-greasing, and I'll keep you updated on regards to the steering. But as I say, guys, if you have got a Leaf and you live anywhere near, I mean, I work in the Harlow district. If you live anywhere near there, we can always meet up and you can have a feel of my steering. You don't have to be on camera. I won't, you know, unless you want to be. And we can do a comparison, so we can get some actual feedback. So I've actually sat in one and done it in a parking lot at another dealership, and it was completely different to mine. But I just went over some bumps then, and the car's all over the place. It's pulling in at every little nook and cranny. It's absolutely awful. It basically feels, the easiest way I can describe it is if I've got way too much air in the tyres in a conventional steering setup. Don't know. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a good weekend, and I will catch up with you guys soon. Bye for now.